Okay, YouTube, it's Christmas Eve. Had a little time to come out here, play with the Malibu for a minute. Wanted to show you guys a little quick update. Last night before I went in, I went ahead and cut the inner fender well out. And I apologize, my first video, I was assuming that this seam here was only held on by panel bond or seam sealer, but I was mistaken. If you can see, there was actually a few spot welds around the bottom and a couple up here, not very many. Found a nice rust spot that somebody tried to cover up with some body filler, and there was a few more down here, as you can see at the bottom. But I got it out. I went ahead and cut it along the seam here instead of drilling all of these spot welds out. Now this piece is just in here. I want to show you guys what I found. Tractor Supply was open today for a few hours, so I stopped in and I picked this up. You guys had told me that they sold these fenders for trailers. Get this out of here. At their store, I went and I found, I got a few different ones, but this one here, if you can see that, steel fender. It's 32 inches long, 9 inches wide, 15 inches tall. And it's nice size steel. I'd say it's probably 16 gauge steel. Now, it was $42. Reasonable. A few guys showed me some other options they sold at Jegs and a few other companies made that was kind of like a universal fender well. You cut it down yourself and everything, and you know, they're kind of pricey. I'm trying to do this build as cheap as possible. Really didn't even want to spend the $42 on that, but I just wanted to give it a shot and see what I could come up with and make it as easy as possible for myself and anybody who's watching these videos that are thinking about doing it. So after I sat it in there, I noticed a few things. So let me show you. If you look right here, if you're looking down front to back of the car, this actually goes outward. So your gap from here to here is different from the front to the back by quite a bit. So I got a tape measure here. Bear with me. So if you look here, we'll say this gap is roughly 5.5. Well, we'll say about 6 inches right there. Just roughly. Now, let me go around to the trunk real quick and show you. I'm trying to keep the phone as still as possible. Okay, now if you come back here in the back, we'll go off of this point here, and you look at the tape. Now get a better look at that tape. You can see we're probably, we'll say 8.5 inches there. From this point here to the inner lip. So we're roughly 8.5 inches there. So we're almost 2 inches, maybe a little over from front to back. Now, when I cut it out last night, I didn't cut this off. This is actually an extra mount they put in here from the factory to hold, I'm pretty sure it's to hold the factory jack and the jack handle. It's really no, I mean, it might hold a little structural support, but sorry, if you look on this side is the driver's side, it doesn't have it. So I know that I can get rid of it. I'm Not sure yet if I'm thinking I'm just gonna cut it here along this line and then reattach it once I get everything welded in there. It's not hurting nothing really if I decide to cut it all the way out. Now, there was a little piece of metal here I showed you guys in the video. It was from here to the inner rocker. The inner fender well. And instead of drilling show you on the panel right here, instead of drilling these spot welds out, because I knew I wasn't going to use this anymore, I just cut that off as well. Just trying to save some time. Now, if you look here, this is the trunk spring. When it closes, fully closed, it's all the way into that little bucket they got made. So I really don't have much room to cut in here and modify this any. It's possible, but I still haven't figured it out yet. But let me show you. Let me show you guys on the inside what it looks like. Now I'm just gonna set this panel in there. And this is just sliding it in there just so you guys can get a look at how it sits in here and the little issues. Now, it sits in there. Excuse me. Now, it's 32 inches from end to end. That's what it says on the thing. So, the actual curve of it is a little off. So, if you look down here, you see we got a gap here. But that's no big deal because I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut this down a little bit because this is 9 inches wide from this crease to this crease. So they give you this little extra right here. Just, I guess, for looks, basically, on your trailer. So I'm not worried about that. I can make some relief cuts here in this edge. Bend my panel out to match this curve here on this side. Now we look back here, and this is sitting in there pretty straight. It's up against this. It's up against that lip right there, and you can see, as it goes back, it's gradually, this panel is going this way, and this is our straight panel. So I figure if I just took it, sat it inside right here, I butted this over. Now this is up under here. Of course, that's not how it's going to be welded, but just to give you an idea. And I look back here, and I try to get this, lined up where it's going to be at. Let me see if I can show you a better angle. It's pretty close to the lip on the back side. So I was thinking that if I just took a Sharpie and, mark me a line down through here, this will give me my cut. And I would cut it a little, leave a little meat on it just to, it's not going to be perfect the first time. It's going to be trial and error, but get a basic line, cut, leave a ½ inch, ½ inch, whatever. Now, if you look up in here, you see right there, that's a spring. This spring is, there's 2 bars. These 2 bars here. Now, these are what they used from the factory for your trunk hinge, to come up and down. So it's in a little, I guess it's adjustable. There's 2 different slots right here, if you can see them. It's in the one closest to the front of the car. And this piece hangs down right here, and it's actually in the way. So the only thing I'm thinking I can do right now is weld this bar into this hole right here. Just run me a nice little weld around there, and then cut this excess off at the bottom. Cut it off flat right against this piece. Now that's going to clear that out of the way. And if you see from this angle, this is my trunk hinge. And you can almost see, if you look straight across, I think that I'll be able to, once this piece is gone here, once I cut that off, I think I will be able to squeeze this up in there, and this might not give me any problems. I'm hoping. But if it does, I'll try to figure it out. Maybe smack it with the hammer a little bit and bend it up, or whatever I need to do at this point. I'm just trying to figure it out as I go. But that's what I'm thinking. I know that if you look down here, I know that my fender that I'm going to be attempting to use is not long enough. So I already know that I'm going to have to add a piece to it, which is no big deal. I have a whole plate of steel. I have a whole plate of steel to do that with, so let's look down inside of here. This is the inside of the fender well. So if you see, the old one actually came all the way down in here and covered this up. And this is where, you know, the few little spot welds I told you were. Found some nice rust up in here. Focus. This is the body mount under here. All of this is gone, so I'm gonna have to figure something to do about this. These body mounts on this car do not have bolts through them. This is just an actual puck, rubber puck that this part of the body just sits on. So it's still important, but I know that I can figure something out to repair all of this rust and everything. So I'm not really worried about that. Now, this car was a factory V8 car, so my fuel line is right here. So made sure when I was cutting and everything, the gas tank is still in the car. So I made sure, you know, to be aware of my fuel line and all of that. But you can kind of get an idea. You know, it'll be some trimming here. I'll have to trim out. This frame has not been notched yet. But typically when you notch your frame, which I'm going to be doing on this car. Sorry, this camera. You get about an extra inch to 1.5 inches clearance. So you figure you can fit a decent sized tire under the fender well with a mini tub in there. But yes, you can see I'll have to make some cuts here. Haven't figured out exactly how far in or out I need to move it and exactly how wide I'm gonna make it. I'm not trying to go crazy because I know that my frame, no matter what, I can only notch it so far. So I'm gonna gain a little bit, but not a significant amount like guys who back half their cars and all of that. So basically the advantage of doing the mini tub is you have one radius all the way around instead of it curving down into here. So you're able to run a taller tire and a wider tire without hitting the inside of the fender. Well, that's what I've got so far, YouTube. I just wanted to show you guys. Quick, let me do this for you real quick while I'm thinking about it. Where you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay. This is the fender. Now this is the old wheel tub that I cut out. Now if you look at it, the curve is on the top is fairly similar. So, you know, get a good look at that. And like I said, I know it's not perfect, but it's actually pretty good on the top. Now if you look, I'm trying to get a better picture for you guys. Let me see if I can set it up this way, like this. See how this works for a second, if I can show you. Can't really see that good, but here's a look at it. I mean, it follows the curve pretty good until it gets to the ends here. I know that light is bright, but like I said, I can make some relief cuts in here or possibly trim all of this section out a few inches, and I can bend this piece of the metal. Turn that light down. I can bend this piece of the metal outward to follow this curve here. And like I said before, it's not going to be long enough on this end. Down here, I'm going to have to add a section, which is no big deal. I'm just trying to figure out the easiest way and the most cost-efficient and time-efficient way to get this job done. So everybody is watching, stay tuned. Thank you for your time. Merry Christmas.